we just finished watching 2023's Late Night with the Devil, rated R, with a runtime of 1 hour and 33 minutes. We caught this on Hulu, but it's also on AMC Plus and to buy rent on Prime Video. This is the story, as IMDb tells us, of a live TV broadcast in 1977 that goes horribly wrong, unleashing evil into the nation's living rooms. Does it, though? Does it?
I mean, evil is unleashed. I don't know about the nation's living rooms, but...
I mean, I guess if you're watching this telecast,
yeah,
you're scarred. I guess our theme tonight is the devil, who is portrayed better in many pictures, but not in our two features this evening.
Yeah.
We're wildly disappointed with Something Wicked This Way Comes, and wildly disappointed with Late Night with the Devil. At least I was. What say you?
I maybe not disappointed, but I feel... I feel I was given a bill of sale for one thing and was given another.
Yes.
This was supposed to be like a found footage type horror movie, and they couldn't keep it up. They failed at the assignment. They were showing stuff that if it was truly a found footage thing or a documentary, you wouldn't see. You wouldn't be able to see what's going on in the host's mind.
Right.
Or you wouldn't be able to see the stuff that was hallucinations being experienced by the guests. And you do see them all. And also...
And you wouldn't be privy to information that the host doesn't have because he's not in the scene, right?
Right. And they also... They try to cover things, exposition moments, by saying, oh, there were backstage cameras, giving a never-before-seen view of what was going on. And somehow the backstage camera quality is just amazing.
Oh my gosh, so much better.
That was another thing. You're supposed to be doing this as like a period piece of the 70s. And some of the footage that they had looked really good as far as being period specific. It was like that grainy, yellowy, kept in a bucket of urine sort of color that a lot of stuff from the 70s has. And then in other aspects, it was just sort of like, oh, they're cosplaying the 70s.
Right. Yes.
And then in the background bits, it was almost like it was filmed with like clearly a digital camera and it looked super fine and crisp.
Yeah.
And that kind of, it kicks you out.
Yeah.
It really kicks you out. If you're going to do a found footage horror movie, you have to maintain that aesthetic, and you have to adhere to the rules of found footage. I'm sorry, you're stuck.
Yeah.
If you can't explain why a camera is in the area filming what's going on, then that doesn't happen. Right. You don't include it in your movie. You can't include somebody dreaming. You can't include somebody having some sort of evil manifestation appear that only they could see or something like that. You think about good films that did this, like Blair Witch, Wreck. Wreck was done extremely well, to the point where when we were discussing this, you completely forgot that it was all done inside footage. The camera.
Yeah. Or found footage because it was the tape that was on the camera. Right.
And it was done really, really well. You got a complete sense of what was going on when things were going crazy and things were like moving really fast. It made sense. Yeah. There was never a reason for everything to suddenly be, oh, we're steady camming it from 6 different angles.
Right.
This felt like a sketch.
It did.
It felt like a sketch, like we were watching maybe SNL or something like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, it had some moments to it. I think the girl who played the possessed or the kid who was like getting possessed, I thought she did a great job.
Yeah.
David Duskmalian.
Yeah.
I thought he did a good job. I thought he played an interesting character who had his troubles in life. Mm-hmm. But I don't know.
It didn't hold up.
Yeah, the rest of everybody else felt like they were like I said, characters from an improv comedy troupe.
I agree with you, and I feel lied to because I feel like so many people have been blowing smoke up this movie's ass.
Yeah, there was that too. Yeah.
So I was excited to do this double feature and then became severely disappointed because it didn't live up to what my expectations were. So I think this is a lesson to me to go into these films without any expectations so that I won't be disappointed.
Yeah.
And again, it's still, as a lover of horror movies, a lover of horror stories, it's still a disappointment to see the genre that I love so much kind of just being half-assed. Because when horror is done well, like Blair Witch, like Wreck, it is transcendent. I mean, those movies will stand the test of time because the storytelling is amazingly strong there.
Yeah, and they adhered to the premise. That's like one of the things about these found footage films is, like, I mean, remember when Blair Witch came out?
Yeah, it was a huge
People
deal.
were losing their minds. They were like, "This is real. This is totally real, man."
Yeah, yeah.
And it was, you watched the movie and you were like, "Okay, I could buy that."
Yeah.
I could suspend my disbelief or dismiss my skepticism and just fall into it and be completely taken in.
Yeah.
And that's great. That's great because let's be honest, in Blair Witch, you don't really see anything. Nothing's going on. Oh, stick figures. Why am I crying?
Yeah.
And it's completely the atmosphere and the use of the unknown that is going to be there because the camera cannot capture everything.
Right.
You're left to your imagination. What's that sound? What's that shadow? Why is the tent jiggling?
Yeah.
Same with Wreck. It's like,
it's the things that
why is that old lady standing at the end of the hallway and she's like seething? What is going on here? And then like she's like, Rah! And they shoot her like 6 times and she falls on the ground and you're like,
oh my God, what just happened?
What is going on? What is going on? And that ending and the darkness with the night vision on the camera.
All right, let's not give it away.
I'm not going to give it away, but it is so well done.
Yeah.
And
this not so much.
No, they couldn't pull it off. And that's what makes it just aggravating to me.
Yeah.
Because when I heard the premise, I was like,
that's interesting.
That's interesting. I really wonder how they're going to do that. You have a lot of interesting ideas that it's a 70s talk show that went off the air because of some bizarre occurrence that happened on it.
Yeah.
And now we're going to see it you're going to see it for the first time.
Yeah.
And
they drop little things in there too, like the thing about the Grove. They
handpick things out of real life history, like the Grove, which is some club that rich folks go to out in California, and they put on little plays in the woods, and everybody thinks, oh well, they're doing sacrifices, and all the elites are in there, and blah blah blah.
It's code for the Illuminati.
Yeah, exactly. And they pop that in there, so that it gives it sort of like a little added taste of authenticity.
Yeah.
But then you're watching it, and it's just sort of like you keep kicking me out of the reality you're creating. Right. I don't feel pulled in like I did in Blair Witch. I don't.
Or Wreck.
I don't. I feel
even like Paranormal Activity.
Or the Paranormal Activity. Huge hit movies. They all stick to that premise where you're stuck looking through the viewport of a crappy camera.
Right.
Cloverfield. The first one.
Yeah.
That one was kind of stretching it. I got to admit, Cloverfield.
But you'd rather watch that than this again, I'm sure.
Yes, I definitely would. Yeah, the fact that they just kept kicking me out of the reality they were trying to build. And then, I don't want to shit on anybody's acting, but it really just felt like these were people who, it's like, all right, you need me for another shot? Because I'd really like to go get a slice of pizza or something. I didn't feel like anybody was there, like really, really in it. Like,
what about David?
David was good, but he was the focal point.
Right. So he had to bring it.
Had to bring it. The only other person I was impressed with was the little girl.
Yeah.
Or the young woman. Everybody else, I mean, the backstage producer, he was a caricature. The sidekick caricature. The psychic guy. Complete caricature.
Even the doctor.
Yeah. And the way it was filmed, it just really felt like sketch comedy show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like old sketch comedy show.
Yeah. That's fair. I mean, I feel bad because I don't have any. I agree with everything you've said, and I really don't have anything positive to say here. I guess the only positive is that jobs were created and people got paid for their labor, but at the same time, again,
I mean, I hope people also had fun while they made it.
Yes.
I get the impression that
with good food.
I get the impression this was more like a labor of love, and that's why these folks did it. Maybe if they had more money or something, it could have been a little better. But really, the thing that messes it up for me is the fact that they just keep kicking you out of the reality that they're trying to build. And that's the reason why I thought it would be interesting, because how are you going to show like psychological things with a found footage movie?
Yeah. I also want to say that this is directed and written by Cameron and Colin Cairnes, Cairnes. It's like Kim Carnes. I wonder if they're her children, the singer. Anyway, I feel like when horror is done well, it's done very well. And I agree with you. I think the kernels that were in here were interesting. Unfortunately, the execution was just off. I mean, if I give it a higher number, it's probably going to be more for the aesthetic. I think they did a good job with creating this like 70s talk show vibe.
The set pieces and the wardrobe, yeah. But as far as the filming went, no. They failed there. It was too all over the place. Especially when you see in like the beginning of the film that it's almost like a documentary where they're showing clips of other things, and there's a segment that's supposedly filmed in this Church of Satan or whatever, and that looked authentic. And then you move over to everything else that the way this show is, or the way this movie was filmed, and it just doesn't seem accurate.
Yeah,
it just looks, I don't know. It was almost like, we'll just film it with crappy lighting and that'll mimic the 70s. No, there was more to it than that. There was just more to it than that. You have to really look and really study and really, really get it down. Like whoever filmed that satanic temple sequence understood the assignment.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think that David as Jack Delroy and Ingrid Torelli as Lily were standouts. My only other bright spot for me as a nostalgia, I guess, is Michael Ironside as the narrator. I didn't know that he was the narrator in this, but shout out to Michael Ironside.
Was it really like the Michael Ironside?
Yeah, he's listed in the IMDb credits. It says the narrator voice.
Richter. I'll see you at the party, Richter.
Not this party, because this party was no good.
Yeah.
But if we're gonna recall it, those were the days, man. I don't know. Are we being like crazy? Because I feel like this is now another example of something where everybody has been fawning over it, and I'm just like,
I think that's what makes it even more disappointing is when people blow a lot of smoke up something, and it just doesn't meet expectations.
Yeah.
and it doesn't meet expectations for glaringly obvious reasons.
Right.
Like I could see, maybe you're thinking of Smile. Is that the other thing?
That's one of them. Yeah, sure.
Like Smile was shite.
Even Evil Dead Rise. I hated that movie.
Smile was garbage, but I could see how other people might like it. I don't know why it's at least with that movie, it stuck. It wasn't shackled by anything. It was a movie. Like this, if they would have just made this a movie. Not a found footage film. Just filmed it all professionally, proper lighting, everything like a movie. This may have been actually better.
I don't know. Not with this story. It wasn't compelling enough.
I think with proper lighting and music and atmosphere, I think this could have worked at least as good as Smile did. Okay.
Possibly. I don't know. I just, you know what?
I really think the found footage aspect of it just
Hurt
totally screwed it. Yeah.
You know what? I'm less impressed with the whole, this is the first time we're going to see this video of this thing that happened. I would have been more impressed if the story had been about the Grove.
You know what? That would have been interesting as well.
Yeah, because you could really do a lot with people
you know what?
in the middle of nowhere, trapped in a wooden structure. I'm looking at you, Midsommar.
Yeah.
And hijinks ensue in nature.
Yeah. All right. Well.
Yeah. There's nothing really to say here other than skip.
What we've said. Yeah. It's not as good as people may have led you to believe it is.
Yeah. I mean, if you
judge for yourself, it's. You probably won't be bored. I was never bored with it.
No, because I was trying to see where it was going.
Yeah, I was never bored with it. I just didn't like how it was handled.
Yeah, I think you know what. I think this is one of those examples, and I'm going to throw Smile in there. This is one of those movies. If you want to watch something scary that's not going to traumatize you, I think this works. I think this is one of those films that, if you want to, in spooky season, watch something scary but not be traumatized, then this is for you. It's not gory. There's not much dirty language or weird scenarios. It's pretty much cut and dry. It goes from point A to point B, and it's just a weak story. Yeah. I think it's unfortunate. The idea behind this was super interesting, but the execution just didn't really do anything. So again, I think that if you're the type of person that's kind of squeamish, that's very easily scared, but you want to venture into something that's a little bit more frightening, I think this is one of those films. And I think Smile also fits, although I'm sure more people would be like, no, absolutely not Smile. I think Smile's more terrifying, but I didn't think it was, but that's just me.
Number?
What did I give? Something 4.5. I'm going to be a jackass here. I'm going to give this a 3.75. You
liked Something Wicked more than this?
I think so.
That's ridiculous.
Okay, you know what? It's on par. So 4.5, I guess.
I'd give this a 4.
All right. So what do you get? All right, so I'm going to give it a 4 too. I didn't like this as much as I like Something Wicked.
That's the
and
thing. That's what I can't wrap my mind around. Something Wicked is boring as hell.
But
this at least wasn't boring.
All right, and then in that case, then I have to give it a 4.75.
All right. You see, that's you're too generous. You should have been like the rest of us with Something Wicked and gave it a 3. Giving yourself some room.
Actually, you know what? I would have rather watched that than this. Believe it or not, because knowing
what you know now about Something Wicked, it's no longer in the nostalgia bank.
Right. It's
now. Oh my God, this is an extremely dull movie.
You know what? I don't think I hated it as much as the rest of this table did. I think that I still, again, it's not a perfect film, but I think that there were elements in it that I found interesting, like the set pieces and the costuming. And
you can go to a museum and see set pieces and costuming.
Okay, fair. But you know what? I sort of had this nostalgia about this film. It's completely wiped now, for sure. But I still think that I would have watched that film again as opposed to this. If I knew then what I know now and somebody said it's life or death, you have to watch one of these two films again, I would pick Something Wicked over this.
No, I would. 10 out of 10, I'd watch Late Night with the Devil again.
Really?
10 out of 10. There's no way. No way. I don't want to be so bored. It's so boring.
All right. I mean,
it took us 2 attempts to watch that movie.
You know what? I was kind of awake for the other one.
All right. Anyway,
and it's interesting because this movie is shorter by 4 minutes.
Even better.
So I guess maybe I would watch this one again then, if it's shorter. But by 4 minutes, I mean, does it matter at that point?
You're too generous. Shouldn't have given Wicked that big a score.
Again, I think that number came from nostalgia.
But you weren't in nostalgia anymore. Nostalgia should have been shattered by the time you gave us that number.
You know what? Fair enough. But I was like, you know what? It wasn't a great film, but I think that for that one, it's based on a Ray Bradbury thing. It's taking something from one medium to another, so I could appreciate that. Again, I liked the whole vibe of the film. It felt more authentic than this one.
Well, we're never going to agree with this. Just, what did you say, 4.75?
4.75.
Okay.
And what did you give it?
3. No, wait. 3 was for Wicked.
Right. So you're going to give this
I'm giving
one
this
more.
a 4.
Okay.
Yeah. It's still not it's below average.
Right. Would you say watch it or skip it? Is this folding clothes background?
Yeah, you could fold clothes in front of this movie. Yeah. If there's nothing else to watch and if you've ever been curious, watch it.
And would you agree that this is sort of scary but without being traumatizing?
Yes. There's a couple of little gory bits, like worms coming out of somebody's stomach and things like that. That weird worm thing, which was just that was just like, come on. When the big worm popped out of that guy, it was just like, this is just shit.
Shite.
This is like trauma level. Maybe that's your thing. If you want to see something with like a little bit of a throwback to a trauma film,
this is it.
This could scratch that itch for you. It's not a trauma film. I don't think there's a tit to be seen anywhere in this movie. But weird worms bursting out of people. There you go.
Yeah, nothing to do with anything. But we also watched They Live this week. That was way better.
Way better, but also not as good as I remember as a kid.
Yeah. Another film that lives better in nostalgia.
Better in nostalgia, but I would. Oh my God, I would watch They Live.
10 out of 10 times.
Yeah. Like if it's on TV and I'm passing by, I'll usually stop and watch They Live.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Roddy.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So skip it. You've been lied to, audience. You can skip Late Night with the Devil, or if you're curious, go check it out. Again, it's scary without being traumatizing. We caught that on Hulu. Was it
Hulu? Yes.
Yes. All right, and that's it from us, and we will bid you all a
good night.
Good night.